DeKaylin Metcalf ignited the NFL in 2020, drawing comparisons to Calvin Johnson and Randy Moss. But who is DK, really? In just his second season, he reset Seahawks receiving records, connecting with superstar quarterback Russell Wilson 83 times for 1,303 yards and 10 trips into the end zone. But before he was the talk of every virtual barbershop in America, DK was the son of NFL lineman Terrence Metcalf in the college town of Oxford, Mississippi. This is the story of DK Metcalf. DK grew up like NBA star Steph Curry. Always around the game, he would go on to dominate. His father played for the Chicago Bears for 7 seasons, and DK spent most of his childhood around the facility. He wanted to be just like his dad, and that drove what would be his true biggest strength: work ethic. At 5 years old, DK was already benching 50 pounds and squatting an ungodly 100 pounds. He took to Bears safety Bobby Gray especially, who began to train the younger Metcalf. Gray and his father saw his insane work ethic at a young age. With such a great relationship to his dad, he worked out with him every day, and it didn't take long before Terrence noticed that DK was side by side with him finishing every drill. He kept looking over in disbelief. The now teen was gunning for his spot on every rep. He leaned over and told his dad in the middle of the Mississippi summer, "You're never gonna beat me again. I'll go further, faster, and harder than you." He continued to work with Gray, learning how to play receiver. Gray mentioned years later that DK remembered nearly everything he taught him as a kid. If you were around Metcalf as a child, it's not really a surprise to you he turned out to be one of the NFL's next megastars. DK Metcalf resembled more to what we see of him today at Oxford High School. At wide receiver, DK towered over defenders and effortlessly floated past them. To top it off, by 13 years old, Metcalf was squatting 500 pounds. That strength had him vaulting over and running through those poor Mississippi high schoolers. You just feel bad for the other kids when watching his high school highlights. Oh, and did we mention he competed in CrossFit tournaments as well? I mean, who is this guy? In high school, Metcalf scored 49 receiving touchdowns, nearly 50. That's an average of over 12 a year, including his freshman and sophomore year. In the 2015 signing class, Metcalf was ranked as the 14th best receiver by Rivals.com, and ESPN ranked him the 242nd best prospect. As expected with DK, that absolutely drove him to go harder. He was a 4-star rated prospect and decided to stay home, following the Metcalf legacy of becoming an Ole Miss rebel. Let it be known that Ole Miss actually signed 2 higher-rated receivers along with Metcalf, but the competitor in him wanted to stay and play for his dream school anyway. In his first 2 games, Metcalf only caught 2 passes, both for 2 touchdowns. The second one came in a crucial showdown against Alabama, but when he caught it, he went down holding his foot. The foot injury would sideline him for the remainder of the big game. He went to get it checked out and found out if he would need immediate season-ending surgery. That morning, Metcalf had class, and his professor recounted the story. Metcalf had foot surgery, and less than an hour later, he would be attending, getting his education. That's when we found out DK isn't just different physically, but mentally and emotionally. DK bounced back strong as a redshirt freshman, receiving for 646 yards and hitting the end zone 7 times. He and his teammate, A.J. Brown, became a dynamic duo in 2017 and 18 as the glue of a team amidst investigation scandals. In 2018, Metcalf was a player to watch for the Rebels and had an incredible start to the year. He caught a TD pass in the first 4 games and looked to be in for a monster year, averaging over 20 yards a catch. However, on a 50-yard catch against Arkansas, DK's season came to a screeching halt with a neck injury. Instead of returning for another season and risking a 3rd season killed by injuries, Metcalf foregoed his final 2 years of eligibility to enter the 2019 NFL Draft. And then the viral pictures happened. You know what pictures. As DK stood next to other grown NFL athletes, he looked like he was from another world. 8-pack abs, biceps larger than the average human head. The viral photos made it look like DK Metcalf ate DK Metcalf and then devoured one of those Super Mario mushrooms. It came out that Metcalf had only 1.7% body fat, which brought out all the wannabe fitness know-it-alls and internet GMs and their opinions. But the buzz began. At the NFL Combine, DK went bananas. 6'3", 228 pounds. Running a 4.33 is as ridiculous as it sounds. Coupled with 10-inch hands, a 40-inch vertical, and a record 27 bench presses from a receiver, we got a certified stamp of approval. Freak of nature. DK was the story of the Combine, but he also brought polarizing opinions. Yes, he tested incredibly well, but scouts and GMs were concerned with a bad 3-cone time, saying he wouldn't be able to change direction and make cuts well enough to be a star in the league. Between that and questions about his durability, NFL teams were split on his prospects, and DK Metcalf slid out of the first round, regardless of his inimitable size and speed. After nearly a 2-day wait, the Seattle Seahawks selected DK Metcalf with the 64th overall pick, and it gave us a priceless Pete Carroll shirtless moment. The time to prove the doubters wrong was upon us. Metcalf plastered that 64 on his locker to remind him of all those that passed him up. His chemistry with all-pro quarterback Russell Wilson was immediate. In his debut, he caught 4 balls for 89 yards. Breaking Seahawk great Steve Largent's franchise record. Get used to us saying that. His first touchdown came on a game-winning red zone strike against the Steelers the next week. DK became the Hawks' biggest deep ball and red zone threat, elevating Seattle's offense to the next level. The craziest part was, the bigger the moment, the bigger DK played. With a game-winning catch against the Bucs, Steelers, and the Niners. In the playoffs, he put the world on notice. Against the Eagles in the wild card round, he went absolutely nuclear. 7 receptions for 160 yards, a monster touchdown bomb, and the lasting image of him waving goodbye to Philly fans after making the game-sealing catch. He set the all-time record for rookie receiving yards in a playoff game. Now the #1 target of the Seahawks, 2020 has been great to DK Metcalf. Or he's been great to it. Either way. In his first 4 games, he collected 400 yards on a ridiculous 25 yards a catch. On Monday Night Football, though, Metcalf set the internet on fire without even catching a pass. Budda Baker made a goal line interception for the Arizona Cardinals with no one in front. He was at full speed at the time. As the pick happened, Metcalf went into pursuit. Despite a 5-yard head start and being 30 pounds heavier, Metcalf hunted Baker down like a lion does a gazelle, making the touchdown-saving tackle at the 8-yard line. The play is one of the most jaw-dropping moments in football and inspired a million memes right after. He finished the season resetting another Steve Largent franchise receiving record with 1,303 yards. There's not really anybody quite like DK Metcalf. He's bigger, stronger, faster than his opponents. He can beat you over the top, and Wilson can rainbow it right to him. You can't press him as he's becoming too savvy and too strong. He's also among the hardest working players in the league. Stories of his work ethic and physicality are hitting legendary status. But will he live up to his lofty comparisons of Megatron and Randy Moss? Well, only time will tell. But still, he's off to a pretty good start for a guy that supposedly can only run straight. So, there you have it, the story of DK Metcalf. What do you guys think? Is he the best receiver in the league right now? And if not, who is? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And as always, you're watching Nonstop Sports. We'll catch you next time.